Hey everyone, welcome back to Retro Magazines and Patterns. My name is Sophie and today I have a really fun crochet with me project that I wanted to do with you guys. This summer we have a lot of really fun movies, blockbusters, that kind of thing, and I am a bit of a fangirl, so I really do get inspired by some of the characters in my favorite movies and TV shows. So this project is going to be Superman, because there is a new Superman movie coming out this July. So I thought it would be fun to kind of work up a pattern with you guys. Now, I actually don't have anything completed yet. I'm going to kind of work on him as I go along. But at the end of the video, I will have a typed up pattern for you guys. So if you do want to make the doll that I'm making, you'll be able to follow along and do that. Just a few disclaimers. This is my own personal pattern. Again, I am just kind of working it up as I go along. I am not really a professional crochet pattern writer or designer, so there may be some, mistakes and it might not be perfect, but I think for even an intermediate or a beginner intermediate crocheter, you should still be able to work up something quite cute. So I'm really excited. I don't know about you guys, but Superman is my favorite DC comic hero. Let me know what yours is. If it's Superman, that's cool. Let me know what other ones you guys like. Growing up, I always really kind of liked watching the Superman movies. I was a big fan of The Adventures of Lois and Clark. And so, I just really like him. So I'm excited to work this up. So I've got all my materials. I am going to be working with a 3mm crochet hook, and I'm just using worsted weight acrylic yarn, budget friendly, cheap, whatever you want to call it, just little bits and bobs that I had laying around. So I have 5 colors. I have red and blue, obviously, a little bit of yellow for his belt, some flesh tone color, and some black for his hair. So I needed these 5, my hook, some scissors, a tapestry needle, some stuffing, and then we add some eyes and little facial details at the end. So let's go ahead and get into it. This one's going to be I think pretty simple as far as a crochet doll is concerned, but it is going to have some fun details in it that's going to make it stand out from just a simple, cookie cutter doll. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make his legs. So to make the leg, we're going to start with the boot, which is going to be in red. So you can see I have this really bright, it's like a Red Heart Super Saver acrylic, just a really budget friendly yarn. We don't need to use anything fancy for this, but we're going to start with a chain of 6. So I'll go ahead and get this started. And really we're going to just be working around to create his shoe or boot, sorry. Okay, so we have our chain of 6. In the second chain from the hook, we're going to go in there and we're going to do an increase or 2 single crochets. And then we're going to crochet 3 single crochets in the next 3 chains. Okay. And now for the last chain in this chain, the last chain space in this chain, we're going to do 4 single crochets. So it's going to be like an increase, 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 increase. So this is going to go around his shoe. Okay, so then the other side is just going to mimic the first side. We've got our 4 single crochet increase, so now we're going to do 3, 1 in each of the next 3 chain spaces. Oh, I can't get in there. There we go. And then we're going to finish it off with an increase of 2 single crochets. Oh, I cannot get into that. Okay, there we go. So there's 1 and 2. Okay, so I'm going to mark this with a stitch marker. I probably could have selected a better color than a red stitch marker, but it was just the closest one at hand and I grabbed it. Okay, so for the second round, we're going to crochet a single crochet. If I can get in there. I do like using these budget-friendly yarns, but they can sometimes be a little tricky. But in the end, they work well for what we're doing. So now we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then instead of 3 along the chain or along the top row here, we're going to do 4. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to do an increase, and this increase is just going to simply be 2 single crochets. Then we're going to do a single. And then we're going to do another increase. This was an old skein that I had laying around, so I actually don't have a center pull going from this. So I apologize if you're going to have to watch me like unravel some of this, but it's just what I'm working with at the moment. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and mimic the other side. So we're going to do 4 single crochets up the side. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm having trouble keeping my hands steady today. And then we're going to finish off with a double crochet, or I'm sorry, not a double crochet, an increase at the top. So 2 single crochets in that last one. We'll move our marker. So this is the base of the boot, and we should have 18 stitches going around the outside of the boot sole. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to try to create some dimension, and by doing that we're going to go ahead and crochet only into the back loop, and we're going to crochet into each stitch one time all around in the back loop only. And this is going to help it to kind of stand up a bit from the sole. Okay, so we finished that round. So the next round is going to be 7 single crochets, and then we're going to do 2 invisible decreases, and then 7 more single crochets. So we're going to start to shape the top of the boot at this point. Okay, so for an invisible decrease, in case you're not familiar with it, we are not going to go under the V under both legs of the stitch. We are just going to pick up the front leg of each stitch. So we'll pick up the front leg of 2 stitches, wrap it, pull it through, and then pull through again. So we'll do that one more time. Pick up the front leg of each stitch, pull through, and then pull through again. And that is a double invisible decrease. And in my opinion, that really does make it look a lot neater in the end. So, you know, if you're not familiar with it, it's not hard to get used to. I mean, it's really just as simple as a regular decrease. You're just grabbing one instead of both of those legs. Also, please excuse all of the little itchy, scratchy marks you might see on my hands and arms. We've been doing a lot of gardening, and I definitely picked up a little bit of poison something or another. So that is what you are seeing if you see any of those marks on me. So I am sorry about that. Okay, so that row is finished. Let's move our stitch marker. Now the next one is going to be another decrease row. So we'll start with the 6. So that's 1. So now you can see we have like a little shoe shape there. Okay, so for this next round, we are going to be working 4 single crochets. And then we're going to do a invisible decrease, 2 invisible decrease, and then 4. So this is going to give us a total of 12 single crochet stitches around. Now at this point, you can go ahead and stuff the bottom of the shoe if you like, kind of shape it a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and just stuff the remainder of that cast on tail. I'm not sure if that's what they call it in crochet, but we're going to stuff that in there so it's out of our way. And we're going to go ahead and work 8 rounds of single crochet all around. So let's just go ahead and do that, and then we will go ahead and finish off the boot when we're done there. Okay, so I finished the 8 rounds in red all the way around, and I'm going to go ahead and stuff what I have so far. And this can be a little tricky just because it's a little tight, so I just use a little pencil. If you get polyfill, a lot of times it comes with like a little stuffing tool, basically just looks like a chopstick. So that works really well for this, obviously, pencil shaped. But you just want to stuff this pretty firmly, especially if you want him to stand. But there, so we have the 8 rounds. We're going to do one more round in the color red. The only difference, we're going to do 12 stitches all the way around, 1 in each. The only thing that makes this difference is, is we're going to crochet into the back loop of each stitch, because we're going to come back after we finish the entirety of the leg, and we're going to add the cuff for his boot. And the back loop only differentiation, I guess, will help us to add that on. So we're just going to do 1 single crochet in the back loop of each stitch for a total of 12 stitches in the back loop only. And stuffing it at this point also kind of really helps give you something to hold on to as you're doing this part, because it can be a little bit finicky. But it will definitely help you when you go to put the cuff on the boot. Now, if you don't want to do the cuff, you can just make another row of regular single crochets. I just kind of like the cuff. It's one of those details that kind of makes this Amigurumi doll look a little bit more professional. Finished, polished, if you will. Okay, so now we're going to join the blue yarn, and actually I want to go ahead and take that last stitch out because I want to join the blue yarn at this point. So instead of finishing this last stitch with red, I'm going to go ahead and finish it with the blue and start the blue. So we pull it through this way, and it's kind of like a seamless color change. I know there's another way where you can insert the hook and pull through. I'm going to choose not to do that at this point, just because these stitches are a little snug, and I don't think that it's really going to matter that much. So now at this point, we are just going to finish up the leg by doing 4 rounds of single crochet in the blue color. So another total of 12 stitches only in blue, and this will be the top of his leg, top of his well, not the top of his boot, the top of his leg. And then we're going to be joining these together in the next round after we finish that. Okay, so we finished the 4 rows, or I'm sorry, 4 rounds of the blue on the leg. Now we want to make this leg match up with the other one. So when we connect them, they connect kind of straight with the toes pointing forward. So as you can see, I cut my red yarn. So if you did not do that, go ahead and cut that, tuck the ends inside, extra stuffing. And then we're going to go ahead and crochet 7 single crochets just to kind of get us around to the other side so that they'll match up. Okay, so now as you can see, this is lining up on the side of the leg. This is the inner part of the leg. So for this part, I'm actually just going to put my stitch holder inside the loop here so that way we don't lose the stitch. Kind of pull that snug because I want to go ahead and just do this cuff that we have. You can see I have a little cuff on the top of his boot, and I just think it looks like a good Superman boot. So let's go ahead and grab our red yarn again. And we're going to go back to that row that we did the back loop only. And if you look carefully, you can see the stitches are a little bit easier to pick up, a little bit easier to see which round we're going to work on. So we're going to pull up a loop in the middle of the back of the leg. And we're just going to join our red yarn. You want a little bit of a tail on that because you're going to have to hide that inside when you're done. So we're actually going to be working this way around. So we're kind of going backwards, upside down, if that makes any sense. So let's go ahead and we're going to grab into that back, or I'm sorry, at this point, that's the front loop because we stitched into the back loop only. So we're going to do front loop only, single crochet all the way around. Okay, so once we have 12 all the way around, we're going to actually chain it once and then turn. And then we're going to just simply do a single crochet into each of those stitches all the way back around. Okay, so there we finished the cuff. So we're just going to clip off our yarn, tighten that up, and you can see here, let's go ahead and work that out a bit. You can keep the cup up if you like. I kind of like that, to be honest. That doesn't look bad at all. So you can keep the cuffs up, you can turn them down, whichever look you like for your Superman. Okay, so now we're going to join the 2 legs together. To do this, we're going to do a color change here. We're going to go ahead and take the red again, and we're going to join it and chain 3. So we're going to have a few yarn tails hanging around, but don't worry, we'll be able to sew all those in. This is actually going to be the bottom of Superman's underpants. So we'll just chain 1. 2. Whoops. I like to double up when I'm doing a yarn change. I don't know, it just makes me feel like it's going to be more secure. So if you see the 2 loops on that one chain, that's why. So tighten up both ends there. Then we're going to take the other leg and we're going to find a matching spot on this leg to join. So we'll just go ahead and join them with a slip stitch. Like that. So they're joined, and we'll go ahead, and this is where I like to kind of mark it with my stitch marker. And now we're going to go all the way around this leg for 12 stitches. Then we are going to stitch into the chain 3 times on one side. We're going to work another 12 single crochets around the second leg and stitch 3 single crochets in the other side of the chain, meeting us up at the stitch marker. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is going to be Superman's underpants on the outside. So we'll get like a really good, realistic looking Superman. Now, I did contemplate making it without the underpants, but I don't know. I just like the classic traditional Superman look, so that's why we're going to go ahead and add it. If you want to just do this in blue, you can do that. It doesn't matter. Whatever makes you more comfortable with your Superman. Whatever you like, the look you like, that's fine. Okay, so as you can see, we went ahead and we did 12 single crochets around the first leg, 3 in the front of each chain, or well, I'm sorry, 1 single crochet in each of the chain stitches, 12 around the second leg, and then another single crochet in each of the 3 chain stitches on the back side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work a single crochet in each stitch all the way around, and we're going to do that for 4 rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work those 4 rounds, and I will meet you back here when I am done. Okay guys, so I'm back. I went ahead and I finished Superman's underwear part. So we did 4 rows, just 1 single crochet in each stitch. And then I went in and I added the yellow for his belt. And we did do a row of decrease and then a regular row of 1 crochet in every stitch. And then I started on his torso here in the blue again. And that is going to be a row of decrease. And then I topped it off with another regular row in pattern, 1 single crochet in each stitch. Now, I'm kind of making this pattern up as I go. So when I type up the pattern, I am by no means a pattern designer, but I will make sure that the completed version of what I do here with you guys will be available at the end of the video, so you can make what we see here. But that's why I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. I'm just making the stitches work and kind of shaping him as I go. So I think the next portion that I'm going to work on is obviously going to be his chest. And that's going to involve some increase rows, I believe, because Superman is a superhero and he has big, broad shoulders. So I kind of want to bring that in at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish the body and see how I can come up with his torso the best that I can. And then after that, we will go ahead and work up his arms and his head. We will also make sure that we get him a cape because he can't fly without that cape. And he's going to have some hair. So we'll do some kind of curly Q hairdo for him at the top. But I just wanted to stop in, show you where I'm at right now. And then I'll meet you back here after I finish his chest and see exactly how I like that and how it's going to turn out. Okay, I will catch you guys in a bit. Okay, new day. I am back today with the Superman that I have worked up so far. So when I left off, I think we had just worked the first 2 rows after his belt. And I said that I wanted to work on more of like a broad shoulder torso. So I think I did that. I think he looks pretty good. He does have, you know, the broad shoulders. I didn't want to make them too broad, but I wanted to bring them out a little bit further than the hips. And I think I did that. And then we went around and did like a back loop only at the top to kind of like really bring in that defined like torso chest for him. So I did finish this up and I did go ahead and actually I cross stitch embroidered the logo because once I got to this point, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to like polish that off. And though it doesn't look like the best S in the world, I think it really gives the look that I was going for. So I'm pretty happy with that. I did also, I was just in a zone, so I went ahead and I made his head as well. So because I'm trying to make this somewhat of a structured doll, something that can kind of like stand up on its own, hold his head up, I went ahead and crocheted the neck and then I left a hole in the bottom of the head so that when I'm ready, I will just kind of squish him on there and we'll stitch it on, and the head should stand up pretty well on its own. So you can probably see I have some like yarn scraps in there. I did that for two reasons. One, I save all my yarn scraps and I use them when I stuff things. I'm not giving this to a small child. It's not going to be played with. It's really just more for display. So in my case, and in cases like that, I would say just use whatever you have to stuff it with. I've used old pillow filling. You could even use grocery bags if you have enough of those to kind of fill it out a little bit. You can get creative because it really does help kind of take some things out of the landfill. Use what you have already instead of having to go out and buy materials that you're not even going to see and or feel in this particular instance. So his head is done. I know the top looks a little wonky, but we're actually going to be crocheting a hairpiece for him, like a wig, so to speak. So you're not going to see all of that. When I'm ready, I'll just pull this through and pull that down tight, and then we'll work on the face. I will do the face with you guys. I have some fun things in mind to kind of really give his face some like personality. So I'm excited to get to that. But what I wanted to do first was work on his arms. So I was thinking about his arms last night. His body's turned out really well. I'm really happy with it. So I do think he's got a really more realistic look to the shape than like a plush toy. So I was thinking I wanted to do maybe more of a defined hand. Now he's small, so I can't do super defined. I'm not going to do like 5 fingers, but I do think I'm going to use like a bobble stitch to give him like a thumb. So maybe like a mitten hand, if that makes sense. So I'm going to kind of try and work this out. Like I said before, I will have a finished pattern for what we do here for you guys at the end. But right now I'm kind of just working through it. So just bear with me. I've done dolls like this before, so I have kind of a idea in my head how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to start by chaining 2 into this flesh colored yarn. And then I'm going to go into the second chain from the hook, and I'm going to single crochet 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm not going to use my stitch marker quite yet. I will be soon. But now I'm going to go into each of the 4 stitches, and I'm going to do an increase in each of those. So let's go ahead and find that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's right here. These small ones are always really tricky to get started. The smaller the round, I think the trickier it is. So we'll get that started. Come on, Superman. There we go. Okay. So we're going to do 1 in each stitch for a total of 8 all the way around. So make sure you get under both of those. Okay. You don't want, especially when it's like really small, like his hand, it's going to be really prominent. So you don't want to have any like, not fraying, but like snags. You don't want anything to look snaggy. We got that kind of started. Pull that, tighten it up, puff that out a bit. Okay, so already that's looking pretty good for what I want. So I think I'm going to do another row or 2 around. Okay, so this will be like the beginning of his hand. I'm actually going to go off. I'm going to snip this right now because I don't need any more of this. It's just going to get in the way. I'll save that for my scraps, or stuff it in the bottom of his head there. This is all trial and error. Like I said, I'm making most of this up as I go. So we'll just do 3 double crochets in here and see if that does better. But it's kind of fun because making it up as you go along with the image in your mind of what you want him to look like, and kind of using the techniques that you know, it's fun. It teaches you how to kind of like think on your feet, and it gives your mind kind of a way to create what you have in there. And that's always fun, I think, bringing your vision to life. Okay, so that's a bit bigger. Let's see if that works. I'm going to actually slip that closed, and then we'll go ahead and do 7. Okay, I think that looks better. That definitely looks like a hand to me, more than just like a nondescript blob at the end of his hand there. Okay, so let's do one more round of 8. So we're going to have to go in at the top of the bobble for the first one. Okay, I am not going to finish this stitch because I am going to go ahead and join the blue to it now. So we'll get rid of that flesh tone color here in a minute. Go ahead and pull those through to finish that off. And then for the next round, I am going to do 1 stitch in every previous stitch, but I'm going to do them in the back loop only. Okay, so far, his hand's looking good. I feel like that is going to be noticeable enough, his thumb. So it does give it some shape. It's not as prominent as I was imagining, but I actually think it doesn't look bad. So I'm okay with that. We're going to go ahead and let's snip off this yarn here. And we can continue with the rest of his arm. Now, I was thinking that I wanted to make his arms maybe as muscular as I was trying to make the rest of him. So I'm thinking that I might try a few increases in the forearm, a decrease around the elbow, and some increases around the biceps and shoulders. But I'm not sure what to expect with that. So I'm going to work on that, and then I will come back and show you what I've come up with. All right, I'm back. I finished Superman's arms, and I'm pretty happy with them. I did go ahead and try to make them more sculpted, so he had a bit of a forearm and a bicep moving up into the shoulders, and I think I got that pretty... I like it. I think it looks good. So I went ahead and I stitched them on, and then I just kind of like that classic Superman stance where he has his hands on his hips, so I just tacked them to his hips. And so his body is now done. So like I said before, I did go ahead and complete the head, and I started on his hairpiece. So I just worked up the base of the hairpiece, which is just going to be a series of increases in the round to make sure that it fits over the head. So in the pattern, it'll be more detailed, but essentially it was just increasing, I believe, 6 rounds. So the last round was, I believe, 6 single crochets and an increase, and then you just complete that all the way around. And then I did 4 rounds of just single crochet in every stitch. And so that's where we're at right here. So, but what I do want to do is I want to try to, I don't know if it's going to be a lot of experimentation or if I'm going to nail it on the first time. We'll try. But I want to try and give him that like devil's peak curly Q piece in the front of his hair. So since this is fitting on pretty well at this point, and we would probably, you know, tilt it back a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and single crochet, I think probably about 20. And then we'll do some half double, double crochets. And then I think I'm going to do a chain that will make his hair a little bit curly Q in the front. Let's see how that works. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to start with 20 single crochets. All right, so let's go ahead and do a half double crochet in the next stitch. And do I want to do 2 of those? Let's do 2 half double crochets. 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to do a double crochet in the next, 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Man, black yarn can be so tricky to work with. Okay, now we're going to do the curly Q. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's slip into, you know what? Let's do another double. So that'll be 3 double crochets. And then we're going to go ahead and chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now let's go back in the second chain from the hook and do a single crochet. You know what? Let's do 2 single crochets in each chain for a total of 16. And we'll see if that curls up enough. Because I have done this. I am actually working on a project at the moment that includes several dolls. And so that also includes several hair pieces. So I have been definitely getting a crash course on ways to make hair pieces for Amigurumi dolls. So let's see if any of that has rubbed off and taught me anything. It looks like it's curling well. I may have made it too long. We'll see. We can always rip it back out and shorten the chain. But I did definitely want to get kind of like a curly Q in it, because he does have that little piece in the front. It's definitely curling, so that's good. Glad I went with the increases all the way up. Okay, so now I have this curly Q here, but the Devil's Peak is kind of like right there. So I'm going to say, let's go ahead and slip into the base of that double crochet that we started the chain at. Okay. And then we'll do 2 more double crochets, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. I don't know. This might not work. We'll have to see. I love when I nail it the first time. Okay, and then 2 half doubles, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. Okay, and then the rest are going to be single crochet all the way back around. But let's see how we like this, if this works for us. I don't know yet. I don't know. That actually doesn't look too bad. What do you guys think? I think I like it. I think once the hair piece is stitched in place, shaped up a bit, stitched in place, and I have his eyes, his facial features on, I think it'll look good. I actually don't think it's bad. At first, I was like, no, I don't know. This isn't working. Well, we don't want it to go like that, but I do think it's okay. I think it looks good. Okay, we're going to leave it like this. Let's go ahead and finish this round. And then I'm going to stitch the hair piece on, and we will move on to adding all of his facial features so that we can really get that Superman personality. So this is, like I said, a work in progress. Really didn't have much of it planned out. I was just following a basic doll pattern in my head based off of all the dolls that I've made. and then just adding those details as I came along to them. I would really love to hear if you guys can think of any techniques or any changes that you would make to this pattern. I would not mind hearing them, because it's one of the things I like about making my own things, is kind of incorporating some of the techniques that I've learned to see how I can create something of my own, and make it really kind of stand out. Like I was able to really learn some techniques and not just work a pattern, if that makes any sense. Okay, so that is a finished hair piece for him. So I'm going to go ahead and just break that off, leave some on so I can, whoops, so I can stitch that on. And then next we will work on his face. Okay, so I have his hair stitched on and I think he looks really good. So I just did like a little whip stitch to add it on, and I actually don't mind that you can see the black thread, because it just, I think, makes it look a little bit more realistic, you know, wispy little pieces. And I did kind of tack the curl down in the middle there just to kind of keep it in place. But I don't know about you guys, I think he looks really good. So I'm happy with the way he turned out. So now I'm going to go ahead, and we have essentially 2 more parts of this doll to complete. The one part is going to have to be his cape. So we are not going to forget that part. But the fun part, and I'm just going to do this now with you guys, is his face. And I'm excited to do that. So I got my little eyes here and some blush, because I just like to color the face a little bit. I'm actually going to use some little googly eyes. I just think these are going to be really fun. I don't know if maybe I want to do these big ones. I think I'm going to do the big ones as opposed to the small one. Definitely not the small list. But I have an idea for his eyes, and we're going to give it a go after I get these on and see how it comes out. Okay, so I have my glue gun and it's heating up here, and I have my 2 little googly eyes. So we are just going to kind of place them here and here. We're also going to give him a little like satin stitch nose, nothing major, just like a couple of passes with the same colored yarn. And then we're going to put on some blush under, like on his cheeks, just to kind of give him some definition there. But let's go ahead and put these bad boys on. You know what? Before I do anything, I'm going to go grab a toothpick. Okay, sorry, I like to have a toothpick just in case I have to like move things around with the hot glue. I'm really funny about using hot glue. I feel like it dries instantaneously and I'm not fast enough. So we're going to go ahead and just add these on. No anxiety. I will be, oh, that's hot. I will be just fine. And so will Superman, because it's just a doll. Can't ruin it that much, right? Okay, so you can see I got a little tail there. Yeah, I've been using googly eyes lately on some of my Amigurumi, and I really love it. I think it's really cute. It gives them, like, just a lot of personality, I think. I do use safety eyes from time to time. And I do enjoy embroidering eyes on as well. But these have just been really fun to use. Okay, so let's let those dry a little bit. And I'm going to get some flesh tone yarn here, so we can go ahead and give him a nose. I know it probably makes sense that I could have put these eyes on after doing his nose, but I have a hard time gauging where I want it until I see the eyes. So if they come off, we'll just reattach them. My glue gun is here. So, okay, so we're just going to find a couple of stitches between the eyes. And doing this surgery here on Clark Kent. Can I call him Clark if he's in his... Ah, see? There it goes. That's okay. Now I know where they're at. always replace them. Okay. It's actually one of the problems I have using these googly eyes is they will often come off of their own backing. And they don't want to stay too much, and that can be really frustrating. So we'll give him another pass with the glue gun. But I do have an idea that I want to try as well with the eyes. So we'll see how that works. That might actually help. We'll see. Okay, so there's the basic nose. I'm just going to do probably 2 or 3 more passes. Really make sure that it's prominent. Okay, and let's see, one more. Let's just do one more here, and then we will use this thread. Let's go in this way. So what I want to do is actually take some of this flesh colored yarn and use it to create a bit of an eyelid. I'm not sure if this is going to work, if I'm going to like it. We'll see. But can't hurt to give it a try. It's all experimenting with Superman right now. So, okay, his nose is done. Okay, so what I want to do is just kind of pull it down across the googly eye. But like the nose, I think we're going to have to do a few passes here. This is tricky with the googly eyes and the hot glue. I will say that much. Nerve-wracking and a bit anxiety-inducing. So let's see. Do I like this? I do, but is it going to stay? How do I want to do this? I'll wrap it under. And then maybe kind of, let's see, because I don't want it to look, I don't know, I don't want him to look like too heavy lidded. Okay, so I think his eyes look pretty good. I do like the eyelid. It wasn't exactly as I envisioned, and that may be because I decided to go with a bigger googly eye. But anyways, I'm going to leave it like that. I do like it. I'm going to go ahead and add some blush to his cheeks. I just like the little look of it. It makes them look a little bit more, I don't know, not realistic, just cute, have some personality. So just going to dab on just a little bit, and this is just blush that I don't use. I don't wear a lot of makeup anymore. And I think this came in like a you know, like a freebie like travel kit or something. So I just keep that in my craft bin, and I use it for my dolls. And you don't need a lot. But do remember that once it's on there, you're not getting it off. So make sure you like where you're putting it. Okay, so I think his face is good. I'm really, really happy with him. Especially as he is he's a doll that I just worked up kind of as I went along. I am going to go ahead and make up a little cape for him. And then I will put it on him, come back, show you the completed Superman. And we'll be all done. Okay, guys, he is all done. As you can see, we already finished the face. We had the curly Q in place. His emblem is stitched on. Everything is looking good. And we finished the cape. So for the cape, I made it just about like a row or two longer than where his like underpants begin at the leg. So I didn't make it super long, but I thought it worked well. It looks good. Um, I don't know. I like him. I think he turned out great. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I think I mentioned it earlier, but if you guys have any techniques or things that you would have done differently in the pattern, I'm really open to hearing those too, because you guys were kind of with me on this journey as I figured out what to do, when and where. It was just kind of made up as I went along. So I would be curious to know if there's anything you guys would have done differently, if something would have worked a little bit better, if I tried some like a different technique. Just let me know in the comments. But I hope you guys had fun with this. And, you know, this was really fun for me. So I think these character crochet projects are something I would like to do more in the future. Let me know if you guys have any characters in mind that you would like me to try. Let me know. But until the next one, I hope you guys crochet some really cool, fun characters. And I will see you then. Bye.